Hey guys, this is a market update. In this video, why is Bitcoin rising right now, even considering the economic data is coming out very soft? We're going to look at the reasons for this in this video and some of the things you should be looking out for over the next few days. I'll leave some timestamps down in the description for you. Firstly though, we've got to get onto the inflation figures and what the data is telling us. So as you can see right here, and I've been watching this for a while now, is the CPI figures coming out. This is on, I think, the 13th of October. Really important figure. The market is going to trade off of this. For right now, the last few days, you've seen a couple of green candles for Bitcoin. This is a technical rally just based on other technicals that are happening in the market. So I'm going to explain that now. CPI, I expect this to come in soft. A lot of people do as well. And this could see the price rally a little bit. We're also seeing the 100-period moving average just flatten off here. I personally think the highest probability is to a rally into CPI, potentially testing this, which is 21,000 resistance. As we go through, this is CPI versus ISM. It's a lot of letters here. CPI is the inflation that everyone's looking for. ISM figures are fundamental economic data. Now, ISM and PMIs, lots of letters, but economic data usually front runs CPI, as you can see here. So what we're seeing in green is a massive fall off in economic activity and figures. Now, a lot of this data came out yesterday as well in the States and in Europe. Anything above 50 is growth. Anything below 50 is recession, essentially. Europe is in recession, massive, right? Everything's in the 40s for obvious reasons. The States is in the very low 50s just, but everything came in softer than expected. That is why people are kind of feeding that through to say potentially CPI and inflation figures are going to come down as well. With the ISM figures coming down, that feeds through to potentially softness in the job market, which obviously leads to softness in rents, and they are the biggest constituents of the inflation figures. So as you can see here, even though CPI is high, the ISMs, which are a leading indicator, are falling off a cliff. And so just read it through. It's a matter of timing at this point. What we can also see here as well that is actually easing markets a little bit is these credit default swaps are off the charts. And these are sovereign credit default swaps, right? Now, this is not good news. And obviously, you're seeing banks step in. The Bank of England's actually stepped in and basically propped up the market. And people are saying if things get really bad, then obviously banks, central banks are going to step in as well. But you're seeing all of this data, even in the States, come in very soft. Now, conversely, what happens is people start bidding up the market because they think if data is soft, then rates are going to come down. Banks are going to be a bit easier in terms of central banks. An easier policy is good for Bitcoin specifically because it trades on money supply rates and not on earnings. Now, there is a correlation to the market, and if the stock market continues to crumble during a recession and earnings comes down, that could have a weight on Bitcoin. But I believe what we're seeing here is the potential start of some correlation more to an easing of policy and at least interest rates not rising like they have done. I'll show you some data on this. If you want to trade on Bybit, link in description to a deposit bonus here, up to $4,000 in your futures trading account. If you trade futures, check that out. Leave that link in the description. What I want to look at here though is government bonds. This is the US Treasury, the 2-year, which has been a parabolic move upwards. This blue line here is something that I put on the chart weeks and weeks ago, which is what the Fed said was like the terminal rate, right? 4.5, 4.6%. Now you can see we didn't even get there, right? We have rallied massively, but what you can see over the past few days is a top. Now, this might just be a pullback with obviously another rally, but that depends on CPI. All of the figures are showing a softness or a weakening of economic figures. And if that continues, you will not see a rally here. It's impossible because central banks do not need to keep raising if economic figures are coming in weak. So is this the top? I do not know, but if it is the top, then that obviously signals a potential bottom for risk assets as well, notwithstanding equities that can potentially fall because of earnings coming down. But something like Bitcoin trades more on rates. Is it the bottom? There's many questions there, but look, if this is not rising any further, then you are going to see some potential softening of central banks, which means risk assets potentially getting some sort of bid or speculation moving into them further. So what you can see is the relative strength index here, RSI coming down, converging with the price coming down. So that is technically why Bitcoin might rally here. If you get a further softening, or at least just no further rises in rates, you could see some potential strength around Bitcoin. That's in my opinion anyway. Fundamentally though, I want to really compare the fundamentals of Bitcoin and the Lightning Network and what's happening to prices right now. Prices are in the dirt, okay? And everyone thinks that they're probably going lower, but look at the fundamentals here. Bitcoin is secured by the most powerful computing network in the world. The Bitcoin hash rate is at an all-time high. I believe that large institutions are coming on. Intel are shipping their mining chip to large institutions, especially across the States. So these guys, they don't need Bitcoin mining. They aren't specifically Bitcoin miners, but they see Bitcoin as a way to make extra money from their oil and gas fields. And this hash rate is going to continue rising. This is a very strong network. We also have MicroStrategy. They're hiring an engineer for making Lightning Network products, including e-commerce use cases. This is a much better way to transfer money than the current system of credit cards and Visa. It's just cheaper, it's more effective, it's instant settlement. We all know this by now. Lightning Labs releases a new update to allow assets to be sent over Bitcoin. Again, this doesn't get much talked about in mainstream media. The Lightning Network on top of Bitcoin, which as you can see is the strongest network in the world, will let people essentially issue stablecoins. So USDC, USDT can be on the Lightning Network. So the strongest network, not just for Bitcoin, but now you can issue other assets on here as well. There's many use cases for this. I think it makes the network stronger. The Lightning Network has also hit an all-time high in terms of its capacity. There's now 5,000 Bitcoin capacity on the Lightning Network through all the nodes. This is still small. It's not a huge amount, but the growth is, what's important. As we can see, the network capacity right here is at an all-time high again. Just watch this. The more capacity that the Lightning Network has, the better, the stronger that Bitcoin is. The more people are using it, fundamental value in my opinion. So Bitcoin now, from a store of value, is getting velocity as well. Not just Bitcoin, but having other assets issued on Bitcoin, I think is a big deal. And that's what I look for. I also think that the technicals here are just starting to show some signs of weakness or flipping, right? So interest rates, this could be the peak. I'm not sure, but they are coming down. Just from a technical perspective, if you're trading short term, if interest rates are coming down a little bit and the dollar index is getting a little bit weaker, that will lead to short-term technical rallies for BTC. So if you're a short-term trader, I do think that the path of least resistance here is probably a rally to this next resistance at 21.5 if this CPI comes in soft, which all of the other data is showing that probably is likely, the most likely and probabilistic path anyway. That's my opinion. If you do want to trade on Bybit, $4,000 deposit bonus down, linked in the description below. I'm James with MoneyZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.